So I'm down here by the Adler planetarium, and this has to be one of the single greatest views in the city of Chicago. And it's funny, but this is something that Mayor Daley believed in heavily. And it's incredibly beautiful. And you think about the city, and then you see these buildings, they're beautiful too. And you think, wow, why are people such pieces of garbage? Life could be so beautiful, so awesome, and they have to ruin it. And so either we got to get rid of all of mankind, or all of mankind has got to change. It's one way or the other. It's not some, it's all. So either we move in the right direction as a people, or you all have to go. So look at the beautiful view. And they want to destroy this with their violence and savagery and everything else, and you can't get any beauty because they want to be animals and savages. Truly. So I don't understand why the city isn't weeding them out, and that's why all youth have to have IDs so they can be in the database. A problem with youth is that cops, they don't have IDs and they can lie about their name. How does a police officer identify a youth? If they're not in there in the biometrics, which they tend not to have their DNA, right? So, and they don't go into the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, and get a state ID. So, how is a cop supposed to find somebody that's under 16? Truly, how are you supposed to find these kids? And that's the problem with all the gangs. You can't identify them because they don't have any IDs. And then the missing children, like when a police pulls over and like, can I have your driver's license and ID, and then the IDs of the other people in the vehicle? Well, sorry, officer. You know, children don't have IDs. And this is a problem. How do they find a missing child? There's a lot of cops that pulled over cars all the time with children that had been abducted or people that have been abducted. When they pull over a vehicle, they got to get everybody's ID, not just the driver. They got to get everybody's ID in the vehicle. Again, beautiful buildings, but this is a problem. And this is why we have so much problems with gangs. They can't identify them. And the only way they identify them in those youth databases, again, they don't come up in the police database. You know, the records are sealed after 18 and everything. And the only one that has access is the feds, FBI. And so the Chicago police don't know who they're dealing with, and that this person was a gang member in MS-13, and he was an American citizen, and he was a gang member of MS-13, and he did blank, 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 and he served, 6 years in juvie, and got out. Violent crime, attempted rape, attempted murder, drug dealing, arson. And they have no idea who they're dealing with, right? And they can't identify him if they don't get a driver's license. Like, black people can't vote because they don't have an ID. You can't cash a check without an ID. You can't open a bank account without an ID. How the hell don't they have an ID? And that's been a big thing about saying that there's voter discrimination because how did they get their background checks? How did they get a mortgage on their house? Truly, how did they rent a car? How did they do anything without an ID? Everywhere you go, they require an ID. So, they need IDs. And so we can identify them. So when they pull over the car, they ask the parents or the driver, I need an ID for you and an ID for the children. But these are why these people go missing and can't be found. And then the bum, they still have to have a state ID. Even the bum has to have an ID. And so the police pull them over. Here, they're doing something like pissing in the park, which is illegal, right? So they ask them, can I get your ID? They need to be able to identify the bum. The bum has to have a state ID. Everybody must have an ID. They must be in the database. That's the problem with undocumented. If they do any types of crime, you don't have their IDs. They don't have IDs, and they don't have any DNA. And they can do whatever they want and leave the country. So, again, they have to have IDs. And when they're buying a phone and that, you have to have an ID. So it can be a disposable phone, but you still have to put down a freaking ID. And they have to match the picture biometrically with truly facial identification. The ID to the person. And it needs to match. We did this at the bank, matching signatures and everything else. So I worked for Horizon Federal. I had to match signatures all the time. And we would overlay them and everything. Matching up. We can match up any signature. And this is in the early 90s for signature verification. We did it at the banks all the time. So I don't get it. I work with a black girl. Super nice. The only problem is back then she bounced her checks all the time. Or not her checks, but she overdrafted her account all the time. She had very poor financial management, which held up her ability to advance. The bank, I was there, and the bank said, my manager told her, I'm sorry, but we have to cancel your checking account. She didn't complain. She's like, yeah, I know. They told me, they warned me. And they warned her several times if she keeps on bouncing checks that we're going to have to close the checking account. She stayed with us, but they closed the checking account. She bounced the checks too many times. Now, I would have, and you should have, put her in a financial literacy program. It's a bank. And they have the financial literacy programs through the Federal Reserve and many others. And you can teach financial literacy to your employees. So have a financial advisor come into the firm and do just the financial literacy. Not hawking a product, but just do, and this is what I was going to do, and I proposed this for to go in and do basic financial literacy for your firm. I promise you I won't sell any products. If somebody wants to come up to me, it's on their own. But I will teach basic financial literacy. I have David, he was an ex-banker, and we could talk everything about checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs and banks, and doing just financial literacy seminars. And I could tie that in with the college planning. and go into places like Whole Foods or other places and just do simple financial literacy seminars for all employers. And nope, it's on us, and we teach the seminar, and it's free, and they get booklets like they were doing at Transamerica, the financial literacy with Stella, which I would have stayed at, but I kept on having so many questions. Not questions, actually, so many things that I wanted to bring up. And I sat down with her and told her, I need a way to bring out these discussion points. And I said, if you're not going to give me an avenue, then I can't continue to come. And she's like, well, the speaker can't be interrupted, and they do this, okay. Then that's why I stopped going. But they did financial literacy, but they weren't going into employers. People would come to them. This is totally different. This is into employer groups and much more substantial than what they were doing. And I told Stella the only reason I was there because I was friends with her, or I would have never shown. So I showed for her. And yes, I was interested in dating her, but she said she had a boyfriend. But she disappeared. But I go over there to do literacy and helping her out with all these different things, and everybody takes off on me. And then somehow I'm the bad guy? So I don't understand how that is possible. So I think you got this story backwards. Who's the bad person? So anyways, I'm down here, teach a financial literacy course at UIC. We're talking about opening up checking accounts and everything else. Now, you can say they can take home economics. I took home economics at Deerfield High School, and we went over a checking account, how to balance a ledger and everything. We did. Oh yeah, and balancing a ledger, if you learn how to balance your checking books, what have you done? A T account. Balancing your checking book is debits and credits, left and right. If you understand the ledger, you start understanding accounting, and you can match cash flows. So, balancing a checking book, which I did in home economics, and oh yeah, I had a savings account, passbook savings account as a child. Truly. And I went passbook savings. Then you make a deposit, then they mark the deposit in the passbook. You make a withdrawal, they mark the withdrawal in the passbook. So your balance is in the passbook. Every transaction is listed in the passbook. So if you want to know what your current balance is, you look it up. And you just open the passbook. But again, I don't understand. So I'm down here, the home of the Flames. So, yeah, and I'm right by the Lakeshore Beverage, a hand family company. Okay, the Good Hands family company, I guess. So, anyways, ending this video.